this is Eris and welcome back to my Wynncraft Mage playthrough. So, it's been a while since I've recorded. I've been running around leveling my other stuff. Is this liquid emerald? Anyway, I've been going around leveling my archer, which is already level 102, which is cool. But otherwise, I've been also grinding the scribing leveling. Those ones in relics? What? Oil and wood. Okay. Well, that's a lot of oil because jeweling requires 1 to 3 oils. Maybe even 3 to 9, depending on the level. Alchemism needs oils. Scribing needs oils. Where's the tailoring? And getting string. Huh. That's the next thing. I'll do tailoring and scribing, and then after that I can just grind whichever I want, because at that point I should have like max tier tools. Or high tier tools, because the max tier tools you have to go to Eldritch Dungeon like 36 times. You have to run through the Eldritch Outlook at least 36 times. Get those dungeon fragments and trade them for tier 11 or tier 12 tools. So, I was going to do quests, but they're kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of scared of doing quests same level as I am because I like to overlevel myself when it comes to doing quests so that I have no chance of dying, and I hate dying in quests, and I have to run back to the city and I get gay baby jailed all the way to another province. I hate it. So maybe I'll try doing Maltix well, but if that doesn't work out, I'm going to do more Wynn Discoveries, because I'm sure there's a few I could do for this. Please help us. We called for a Ragnite guard days ago, but humans tend to forget this little village. Last week, an evil witch found refuge in our old well. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but she's lured my child into the well. My only child. He was born in Wynn. That makes him a Wynn citizen. Please do something. I know Maltec isn't of importance to you humans, being a villager settlement, but my son. Huh, it's been redone? Oh, it's redone. Ah! One of these tunnels is supposed to be the correct one. Oh wow. Okay, this is new. Rats. Rats. Where the rats? We pray at night, we stalk at night. Where the rats? I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. Oh. Help me! Someone! The witch is being mean! Oh. I wonder when they find Miss Ragna guards. You'll never get me. Bet! I don't know why to call me a witch. Magic is everywhere, you know. This one's rather made fun of my looks, so I'll turn his son into a grook. Treat me like a witch, I'll act like one, darn it. You'll have to pass through my dastardly magical defenses to find me. Okay. Ow. Are those the rats, or... Oh, drat. Never could get that spell right. Well, now you have to guess the way. You fool, turn around now before you choose the wrong door, you'll be sent to a beast most foul. The, beast what eats Ragnite guards for brunch. Totally. Hi. Oh, I didn't think that'll fool you. You know, I'm not really all that good at magic. I just like wearing pointy hats and have warts. Maybe if the people of this village weren't so mean to me, I wouldn't have been forced to live here. I know it's a crime, but his father and the rest of the villagers here hunt me like I'm a rabid dog. That's a crime too. That doesn't give you an excuse to kidnap a child. I wasn't really going to turn this poor boy into a grook. I doubt I could even make him grow on feathers. Watch. What? He's a... Oh, what's happening to me? Oh my gosh, it worked. It worked. I did a spell for once in my miserable life. He's a rabbit. Wait, that's not good at all. You're gonna... No, you won't take me out of here alive. Where'd the kid go? What? Yay! this empty bottle. Thank you for saving me from the witch. She was nice at first and made me cookies, but I want to go home now. Okay, let's go home. Follow me, baby. Where's baby? It wasn't even hard. Oh my son, what happened down there? And not a witch, you say? Preposterous, she wore a hat and had warts. I guess it's too late now. Thank you so much for your help. Take this malted recommendation letter. It will. But I have like one. I have a couple already. So I don't know. Okay, hi. You sure look like a strong adventurer who could help me. My name is Sailorose. I spent most of my life in Maltic, but decided to come and live in Deadlast with my family a few weeks ago. However, we got attacked by thieves on our way here, and I had to leave my family behind. Most of them died, unfortunately. I know that my brother had his will on him during the attack. Knowing he was a rich fellow, I expect him to be receiving a large part of his fortune. His body is buried somewhere in Nemract. I own a large graveyard there and can grant you access to it if you can bring me back his will. One of my older brothers also survived the attack. He isn't somebody I trust greatly, but I'm sure he has some useful informations for you. Informations? His name is Drupsh. He usually likes to talk a lot when he's drunk. See if you can do anything about that. I'll be waiting for your return. Follow this path. It leads directly to Nemract. Good luck. Alright. Drupsh's house. Yeah. Oh, why hello there, my brother. Oh yes, I do know where he is buried. But do I want to tell you? No, it's none of your business. Okay, how about I loosen those lips, huh? Yeah, potion of drunkenness. Oh, good old Nemract whiskey. Fine, I guess it wouldn't hurt to tell you where he is. He's in the old cathedral at the end of the town. Walk east. It should be right after the bridge. Though the priest might not let you go in that easily. That was a good acting word. Just Are you trying to go down to the crypt? Oh, that is a very bad idea. This place has been corrupted and the dead came back to life. We had to break the stairs to protect this cathedral. If you really want to enter it, I'd have to purify it so it doesn't corrupt you. Bring me 12 rotten flesh. That should do it. Ancient Nemract is filled with zombies. It's toward the southwest. How many rotten flesh do I have? Okay. Alright. Hey, you've got the flesh. Good. It should be safe now. Be careful. You are entering at your own risk. Damage immunity. Sailor Rose's brother. Oh, wow. What are you doing? Oh. Sailor Rose's brother's skeleton. Why is he so resilient? Like, what the hell? Just beat up his brother. Dusty Will. Okay. Guess we're done here. Okay, we'll bring this to Sailorose. And he's probably gonna be pissed at me because I destroyed his brother's corpse, but you know, he's been corrupted. He died. This was my very first quest. I mean, my very first quest was to kill someone's undead father, so it's all good. You get me? Alright, Sailorose, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh, never mind. Brilliant, it's a little bit dusty, but it will do the trick. Here, take these as proof of my gratitude. Level 23, Cluck of the Cluck, or Cluck Cluck, Pit of the Dead. Access to St. Rose Graveyard. Yeah, it's called Saints Row. I was right. Crushed Bigfoot Bone. Who cares? Quest, studying the crop. No, I want to be one of the Wynn Discoveries. That will involve a Bob's Tier. We're going to Ragni. I'll show you what I mean. Bob's Tier. Alright. Got one. Using the tunnels so we get there a little quicker. Alright. We got a Bob's Tier. We're in Ragni, and we have to go back to where we first entered the province of Wynn. At least, okay, so we go in here. This person is nice. I really like this illusion. Anyway, go down here. There's a tier right here, in memory of Bob. We throw it into the fire. Y'all who seek, ye who seek knowledge, follow in my footsteps and gain wisdom. Then you see these particles up here, and you follow these particles, which will lead into this dining room. And, wait for it. You can actually hear the footsteps, or at least I can. I'm not sure if it's gonna come out in the recording, but you'll see these. But they'll go lead here. The gates here will open, and you can enter Ragni's Secret Library. A 12-volume story of Wynn's great hero can be found here. The origins of this library and others like it still remain unknown. Well then, who wrote it? Okay. The Legend of Bob, Chapter 1. Oops. 854 years after the portal was first opened, Ragni suffered one of the largest raids ever recorded on Western soil. Although the famous forts of Ragni and Troms were deemed impenetrable, this was unfortunately not the case when seas of monsters brought by the curse came knocking on the front gate. Being so early in the Cursed War, Ragni's army numbers were high and many a man laid down their lives to protect the families within the walls. However, the sheer numbers pressed against the door broke the hinges, and the large gates fell to the bridge, and the largest horde recorded entered the city. Many of the residents were slaughtered, maimed, or infected by the onslaught of creatures. Those able to run hid in the sewers, a vast series of tunnels that run out of the city and into the foulest place of the humans could create, their prison. Legend of Bob, Chapter 2. Okay. The idea was to combine two of the most horrible things, the untreated sewage and the dark cells containing Wynn's worst criminals, to add to their suffering. It really was a horrid place, but in a time like this it was the safest place to be, and the women and children sought refuge in its stench. During the fight, a woman who never said her name, nor where she had came from, she certainly wasn't one of Ragni's own, gave birth to a baby boy on the cold floors of the sewer. Though the women accompanying her did all they could, the unknown woman did not survive the childbirth. The horde lasted 6 days, and the sewer folk did not know if the baby would make it. The conditions were so rotten. Legend of Bob, Chapter 3. Against all the odds, the child made it, suffering no more but a smudge of dirt across his cheek, to everyone's amazement. He was adopted by Ragni's poorest resident, a single mother named Momo. He worked in a local bakery, carrying bread and cake into the palace, taking whatever he could get away with. Despite his mother being poor, she was nonetheless intelligent, and taught the child, who she named Bobbert, everything she knew, taught him to read, write, and to agree to fight. Robert was never a popular lad, always treated differently. His skin was a shade of gray, unnatural to those of Ragni, who had always been fair-skinned. Wait, so he's an Olm? As such, he didn't have many friends, and he wasn't held particularly well against the other citizens either. When he was 12 years old, a horde found its way into the city once more, like it did just over a decade ago. Okay, when I say the Olm, I mean the people in the Silent Expanse. They are depicted by pillagers who have gray skin. It's a bit of a spoiler, but if he has gray skin, what, is he like a Homestuck troll? I mean, okay. Chapter 5. Momo placed in Robert's hands a piece of parchment with a crude blood-stained drawing of the 4 areas, each with a strange number under it he hadn't heard of. In the fires of the fight, Robert fled from the city, wielding not only his butcher's knife, but a pair of pitch-black knives encrusted with symbols that glowed a purple color, a cloak, and a pouch holding what little food was left in the house. He headed east to the sandy area indicated by his mother's drawing, the one with the knife symbol and the number 1. When Robert reached it, he found one man who did nothing but held out his hand, and Robert placed the only thing of value to him, dark daggers, in his hand. The man began to tell Robert of what he must now do to aid in the war. He must travel to the 4 masters of the Wynn province to learn their magic and skill if he is to lend his hand in the cursed war. Only once he had mastered one skill would he be given the key that the next master would accept. So he's like the Avatar. Except this has got to be rewritten because the 5th class is now Shaman. Would Bob have practiced Shaman magic, or is there going to be a separate lore on this? Legend of Bob, Chapter 6. After 5 years of training to become an assassin, Robert was now 17 years old and incredibly powerful. The master, Chak, who had taught him, told him his time was now up with him and he would have to progress to learn archer. Chak took Robert's daggers, to which the handles began to glow bright, and molded together to form a large sheen bow, to which he strung a thick strand of his own hair. Chak handed it back to him and said, "Even the most experienced soldier must start from scratch when learning a new mastery." And it was true. Robert was not equipped to deal with any creature that faced him. He'd never even fired a bow. Robert began his journey further south, past the blizzards into a pocket of land he'd never seen on any map before, with a number 2. It was home to only one building, a large mansion to which a man stood with his hands outstretched as Robert approached. Just like 5 years previous, Robert handed him the bow, to which he said, "I am Male, master of archery. Let us begin. Just as you progress, as does the war." To which Robert spent a further 5 years mastering the art of crafting and firing arrows in any situation and learning the magic surrounding the bow. Wait, so this is that mansion in the back of the Durnal jungle. Okay. Legend of Bob, Chapter 7. In his time, Robert also learned about the areas which he trained in. Mel was incredibly spiritual. The mansion in which he lived was also housed to many spirits, which found Mel to heal them. Robert learned about the other side and how many of the fallen soldiers returned cursed to fight on the other side, to which Robert secretly hoped he was able to communicate with his deceased mother. However, Robert never expressed these desires, and Mel told him the time had come to learn some magic that involved no physical weapon and you could hit people with. Robert handed over his bow, to which a familiar glow transformed into a pure black rod with the same purple markings around them. Robert looked at the old frayed map to see the next area with a single line in it, and the number 3, except this time he knew what that area was. In the forest he passed through when he was 12 years old to get to the desert. To begin his training, he barely made it. For the first time since he began his training, Robert was filled with fear. Listen, it's just a Nibla forest. It's level 5. Chapter 8. The forest was full of spiders and poison, and the thought of poison always reminded him of the time well, never mind that. Robert set off to the forest, wielding a stick that was about as much as used as a hollowed-out pumpkin. He couldn't for the life of him make it work. Regardless, when he reached the forest, he entered a mystical village, suspended in the trees, lit by hanging lamps, to which the familiar sight of a man with his hand outstretched grasped the wand Robert laid in his hand. Oh, wait, so that still exists? You are halfway through your journey. Do not let frustration warp you. Let us begin the hardest of all arts, were his first words. The magical master had ever said to him. And it was certainly true. Wand lore had not come so easily to him as knavery or archery had. However, the arts of magic eventually flowed through him over the coming 5 years, to which point Robert was now 27 years old, and began to wonder if he could ever remain young enough to fight in the war. Told Robert it was time to move on, and transformed his wand to this final form, a giant black spear. Even his mature eyes gleamed at the sight of it. The spear was a weapon of Trom's, the greatest fort man had ever created. Alright. Chapter 9. The map indicated that he must travel to Trom's, where the last spear symbol and the number 4 were written. Upon arrival, Robert was surprised. The city had been hit hard. He never heard of Troms so much as receiving a scratch from the creatures. It was so well guarded, but then again, Robert had been absent from civilization for 15 years. In the fires, a man stood with his hand outstretched, completely ignoring the pleas of the people around him begging for help, to which Robert placed his spear. The man said, "This is the final leg of your journey. Let the plights of this town that you've seen here today force you onwards with your training, and help protect this land when you are done. My name is Fear. Let us end your training." Robert spent the next 5 years learning the skills surrounding the spear in the great city of Troms, rebuilding and defending it when necessary in his spare time. It was the first time he was seen with people, and by people he mean people that aren't strict masters of their art, and that solely exist to teach Robert the ways of the soldier. Oh yeah, being absent from people for 20 years must have fucked up with him. Like, his social skills. He was only 17. Chapter 10. Robert learned to love the people he was around, and people called him Bob rather than Robert. A girl told him, "I don't know, I think you just sound better when you're called Bob." Robert liked it, and when he met new people, he introduced himself as thus. Fear's training after 5 long years had finally come to an end, to which he said this: "You are now the strongest soldier this province has ever seen." "Why are you crying, Bob?" "There's no one there." Wait. And to his surprise, all the masters materialized in a line beside Fear and smiled, Male even nodding slowly at him, to which a voice behind him said, "Why are you crying, Bob? There's no one there." The 4 masters vanished, and Bob knew what he must do now: return to Ragnite to save what little is left of it. It's like a spiritual journey. 11. Bob then spent the remainder of his life serving as Wynn's private demigod, destroying all creatures that ever came near a settlement under his protection. He did not pass on his skills, in fear that they would be used for the greater good. They would not be used for the greater good, which troubled him, for if he were to pass, who would replace him? Certainly not his 3 companions, the animals which he loved dearly. Perhaps he would brew them a potion, prolonging their life. They were good animals, after all. Bob's story quickly became a huge beacon of hope for many fighting the war. No one could defeat Bob and his dark weapons. However, this is where the story becomes a myth, I'm afraid. After a century of fighting, Bob vanished in the year 984 after Portal. Legend of Bob, Chapter 12. It was rumored he heard of a beast corrupting the province, promoting the war and increasing the strength of the monsters. I imagine Bob probably sought to destroy it, but in his old age, perhaps he wasn't up to the mark. It was then, though, just 1 year after his disappearance, Bob's tomb appeared in the snow, marking the place where he was buried. Supposedly. By whom? No one knows. Perhaps it was the killer, or maybe it was his master's magic. It still lies today, holding his body. It is worth a visit. Many have told of great adventures and magic surrounding the place. One thing is for sure, Bob truly was the master of the Wynn arts, and will forever go down in our history as the mightiest soldier. Perhaps one day, someone will follow in his footsteps. The end. Well, that's it. I've been recording for nearly an hour now. So if you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe. I have my Discord, Patreon, and Steam links in the description. And I'll see you next time.